they got our boys back together again, as you know, Brian. Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
Back on SmackDown, back together. And I have to say that they come to the ring for the closing interview. It's going to be face-to-face. Roman Reigns and Bill Goldberg, face-to-face. Reigns and Heyman come out first with the whole Usos, the whole crew. But Paul Heyman here outshone even himself in toadying and stooging. I mean, he was standing there as Reigns gets in the ring before he does his acknowledge me. Paul is looking at him like he's seeing God and Paulie's the Pope. Maybe that's a wrong simile to draw since Paul's Jewish, of the Jewish faith. Who do you people look up to more than anybody?
Sandy Koufax.
Okay, so Paul is standing there beaming with this look on his face. It's like he was a blowfish and his face was widening out with a grin with love and admiration and beneficence for Sandy Koufax there in the form of Roman Reigns. And as he then Reigns does his acknowledge me thing, the people, he's milking them and it's great. And then he now says, "Now, wise man, celebrate me," or whatever, and he hands Paul the microphone. Paul takes it like he's been handed the golden chalice that Jesus Christ drunk Mary's breast milk out of, or whatever the fuck. Is that one of the lost treasures at the bottom of the money pit on Oak Island, the chalice that Jesus drank Mary's breast milk out of?
I guess so.
It was a primitive form of a pump back then. So anyway, then Paul does, again, even for him, a magnificent, a stunningly beautiful verbal blowjob for Roman Reigns. And how great he had that you're having a chance to see, the Michael Jordan in his prime and this and that guy. And then he knocked the Saints. Drew Brees, right? Apparently sucked. Yeah, well. And he got a who dat chant going because they're in New Orleans. So he got a who dat chant going when he knocked the Saints. And I thought, this is fucking great. It's come full circle. And honestly, Heyman was probably the only one in the building that knew that it came from the Saints because they got it from the dog. So now dog came in 79, was it? So 43 years later, it's come all the way back around where it started at the wrestling shows at the downtown Municipal Auditorium. The Saints fans picked it up, and now it's come back to the wrestling arena.
And we're finally in a day and age where Paul feels comfortable working ringside in New Orleans.
Yeah, I can even challenge people for a fight and not get taken up on it. God, yeah, I'll tell you what. Was that where he was? That was the week before, I guess. He was someplace they had footage of him during a dark match challenging the fans to fight. And everyone was, it's great manager shit, right? But you didn't do it in New Orleans. You minded your P's and Q's and tried not to look at those fans. Just don't look at me, boy. Don't eyeball me. Anyway, so he did a masterful job, and then Goldberg's music interrupted. And Brian, I swear to you, if I'm lying, I'm flying, and my feet have not left the ground. On an in-ring promo interruption, where the guys are in the ring cutting a promo and suddenly the music plays for the interruption, they still cut to a fucking shot of Goldberg's locker room door and the hand knocked. Sir, it's time for your interruption. He came through the goddamn locker room door. He was waiting in his locker room until it was time for his promo interruption. And then out he comes.
He's the smartest guy. Everyone's always getting attacked in the locker room, not Goldberg.
Yeah, he's got his own, won't let anybody in. That's what the security's for. So he comes out and they go face to face. And the people are chanting Goldberg, as they do. And, he's still a name. And he's still over. And we've mentioned it's not Goldberg's fault that he's 52 years old, and they still have to keep calling on him and his contemporaries because they can't get anybody new over because of all the reasons that we talk about everybody on the show every week. But at this point, you know, they even made a package out of it on the show, as you saw, Saudi Arabia show, of, hey, the old age is just a number, and I still think I've got it, and I'm going to defy time and gravity, and etc. And that's a great story in all sports. The aging quarterback or the boxer past his prime that still wins but whatever the case. But goddamn, diminishing returns at this point, as we'll talk about when we get to the match. But all he had to do was say, I apologize, you're not next. When it comes to the Universal title, I'm next. And then they played the music, and then it was done. So not exactly leaving the people at a fever pitch, you know, waiting to see this cataclysmic confrontation. And, you know, you don't get the idea that they're waiting to tear each other limb from limb.
Yeah, Goldberg's a smart guy, too. He realizes if they're going to get the most out of him, stick with Heyman. Heyman knows exactly what to do with him every time.
Well, but here is the problem. That is the problem. Heyman knows exactly what to do with him, but it relies basically on the things that he's still able to do. And those are getting fewer and farther between.